Greetings from Cybertron. This is SoundJack here with another episode of SoundJack's Rambles. And today I'm joined by Alyssa.
Hi!
And we are talking about the last season of Voltron Legendary Defenders.
It's
season
finally
8.
here!
Well, it's been here for a while. We just took our time talking about it.
It's still finally here! I didn't mean like the season. I meant, like,
this episode.
the episode of the podcast is finally here.
Because we've talked about all of them.
We have.
So we got to talk about this one.
We do.
Well, we're at least excited for this one to talk about.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
yeah. This season was it's complicated because not only do we have to talk about this season, but we kind of have to address the series as a whole, I guess, at this point too.
Yep.
So trying to contextualize everything that's happened is going to be tough, but
yeah,
we'll try our best. So, all right. I think the first thing I'm trying to think out where best to start.
Just jump in.
Just jump in? Okay. Yeah. So,
because if you haven't seen, because we all know how we got introduced to Voltron.
Well, no. I meant like, where do you want to start within the discussion?
Oh, okay. Okay, sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
But yeah, you should go check out the other
videos. If you're coming into this and you're like, oh, I've only never heard of Voltron before, like, go watch some of our other podcasts. We've literally talked about every other season.
Yep.
Also,
yeah, go listen to how excited we were for this show. Alyssa did.
Yeah, actually, in preparation for this podcast, I actually re-listened to all of our previous podcasts because I wanted to sort of like have in my mind what we talked about previously, the kinds of things we were hoping for, the kinds of things that we had predicted, and sort of address those things and kind of maintain some kind of continuity when we were talking about it, as well as sort of to kind of serve as a sort of rewatch. I didn't want to rewatch the entire series for this podcast, but I did kind of want to remind myself and refresh myself, so that's what I did. And it is kind of heartbreaking to see how excited we were the first time we talked about it, how we were like, this series is really great. It has so much, like, promising stuff in it. And then now it's like, oh, how the mighty have fallen. Anyway, so let's jump right in. I guess we should start with things. Let's start with just talking about this season. Yeah. And then we can move on to talking about the series as a whole. So, let's start with the things that we liked about this series. We'll start off positive and season. Let's positives about this season, and then we'll get into the negatives. So, all right. First positive that strikes out to me is actually with this kind of filler episode, sort of, which I don't know how that lines up, but it's the Day 47. Day 47 is an episode in the sort of the middle of the season, and it's kind of a filler episode, basically. One of the MFE pilots, Kincaid, is doing filming himself as sort of like a film log of his journey as one of the crews on the Atlas. And Rizval, or maybe it's Rizval, joins in at some point. Like, she sees that he's doing this. She's like, we're going to make this all exciting. So she, like, interviews all of Voltron and, like, tries to make the movie more exciting. The only reason why I bring this episode up is because it has a really interesting conceit of having all of the entire episode being filmed, so to speak, like, on a camera. And so a lot of the shots and the way that shots happen don't happen the same way they would in another normal episode. Yeah. Like, some of it is, like, at some one point, the Voltron has to go do something, and the MFEs are called in, so Kincaid has to abandon his camera, and the only way things get filmed is, like, a dog finds it and, like, brings it around, and, like, it's the camera gets, like, floated around and knocked all over the place, so it's kind of disorienting. But I think that disorientedness actually reflects sort of the disorienting nature of being called into action, or the hustle and bustle of a ship when it's, like, fighting. Mm-hmm. So I think that's really cool. And then there's even, like, a segment where, like, it's they like, edit in a clip from Pidge's internal camera, like, in her suit, so you can see from their perspective what's happening. And it does kind of further the plot. Like, I'm trying to remember exactly what we find out.
The specific thing was Hunk was making some food for the the Alteans, and then after that they started opening up.
Yeah. Yes. So that was. But yeah, most of what happened wasn't that like groundbreaking. I just thought it was an interesting episode because it changed up what was happening. It focused on some minor characters.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. It helped with that kind of stuff. But yeah, I liked that episode for that reason. What about you? Name something you liked.
Genesis was interesting. The episode Genesis.
Okay.
Because, crap, which one was it? No, not Genesis. Sorry, The Grudge. I meant The Grudge. That's why I couldn't find the name I was looking for.
Oh, okay.
Zethrid.
Zethrid, yeah.
Has tricked Voltron into not going back to the Atlas.
Yeah.
And has them on a world, and because they can track the energy of the suits, the team have to leave their suits behind, though they are breathing in a toxic atmosphere, while being chased by bounty hunters and pirates.
Mm-hmm.
So that was interesting. But the most interesting, I need to remember what happened. But like, there's the whole thing about Zethrid, Azor leaving Zethrid.
Yes.
And Axa comes in at the last moment because she's trying to talk Zethrid down.
Yes. Because
they were fighting Keith.
Yeah.
Eventually, I forget, does she relent or does she...
I think...
Oh, wait. Oh, she's shot.
Yeah,
she's sniped, and then Keith pulls her up.
Mm-hmm. So she is spared,
yeah.
but like...
But in the episode, we see Aksha with Ezra.
Yep, Ezra. Yeah.
Ezra. Wish I saw more of their relationship.
Yeah! Another relationship.
That's the main reason I brought that out, because I had assumed, I thought I might have been reading into it a little too much before, but I thought those two did have a relationship, but it seems like they have a relationship.
Yeah.
Like, full on.
Like, back in season 7, we mentioned how we were really looking forward, like, it seemed like Zethrid and Ezra were kind of flirting, or it seemed like how they had really strong romantic tension between them, and then here it's like it's even more so, but of course they don't actually clarify that that's the case. Mm-hmm. But in my mind, I like to think that they're dating. So
yes.
I hope
too,
because like we need these things. But yeah, it was really nice to see Zethrid again and Ezra, because I forget what happened. I guess like, oh yeah, we thought Ezra died.
Yeah.
Back in season 7. So yeah, it was really nice seeing her again.
Yes.
And we confirmed that she lived.
Yeah.
And Aksha actually does something useful.
Yeah.
Not that she wasn't useful before, but like she actually does something cool and interesting instead of just being like there, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's nice. So yeah, it wasn't a bad episode. It was pretty good, and more minor characters that were wrapping up. I had to say, just in general, this season had a lot of revisiting of old characters. We saw a lot of people that we hadn't seen in a long time.
Even just concepts too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because the Clear Day, there was the dude with the 4 arms that was the arm wrestling champion.
Yes.
Where and Keith broke. Or was it Shiro broke him out? Who broke up the scientist?
Slav?
Yeah, Slav. Who?
Oh, it was a group effort.
Okay, but yeah.
So I think Shiro helped him escape.
Yeah. Oh, we also ran into the monster again.
Yes. The Weblum?
Well, yes, we did run into Weblum, but the monster from the facility
that
they unleashed. That was a Galra killer.
When did that happen?
The prisoner's dilemma with when they run into Warlord Lon, who they had helped on the planet with the
okay. Yes,
the panels,
you're right.
And they were like, "How
you're
dare
right.
you? You left us." And we're back in the Galra Empire, and then they were coming, and then
Okay, yeah, now I remember that.
Yeah.
Okay, so sorry. A lot happened in this season, but
did.
like at the same time, not a lot happened. It's weird. Okay, anyway, yeah. No, that, yep.
Like, to be fair, making sure like a lot of points are brought back and touched upon is very nice.
Yeah.
Especially for a series that has run 8 seasons. Even though that series has run 8 seasons in the course of like, well, yeah, it's basically like if we're counting 26 episode seasons, it's really 3 seasons.
Yeah.
But. Within but it's still quite nice.
It is quite nice.
In that respect. And while if certain things didn't happen, I'd probably rate the show overall a bit better.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite save the show. I also do like the episode Shadows.
Yes.
With the strong background for...
yeah, we got an actual kind of backstory about Unnerva and Lotor's childhood, kind of, too, and sort of how she became Haggard as well.
Yeah.
And that was a pretty interesting episode, and I feel like, again, that episode would have really worked harder if there weren't some other problems that I had.
Yeah. But
we'll talk about that in a moment. Trying to think if there's anything else that I liked. I mean, Launch Date was kind of a nice, fun episode. Not a lot happened in it, except for the fact that Lance and Allura got together.
Yeah.
The ship that we all wanted to have happened. I'm being sarcastic. So that was a thing. But it was a good way to kickstart the season, I think.
It was.
Yeah, we got to leave Earth. It's called Launch Date, which is a clever name. Yeah, so I don't know. There were a lot of like little things that were fun, a lot of little jokes and a lot of little references. It was nice seeing the Welblums again, the Balmeras again.
Yep. Unfortunately,
we had to watch what planet was it that got destroyed?
It was Okari.
Yeah, we got to see Okari again, although it died, which is unfortunate. Yeah. But it was still another way to like bring back some elements from earlier in the series. So I do like how they tried to wrap up any elements that they might have had lying around or things that we hadn't really seen. So that was cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Apologies for the noise.
So anyway, is there any other good things you want to talk about, Michael? Or do you want to move on?
Let's move on.
Let's move on? Okay.
So,
I guess, do we want to just go right into our complaints about this season?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, we already started with Lance and Allura, so let's...
Yeah. So, Lance and Allura, obviously, Lance has been has had a crush on Allura forever.
Yeah.
Like, he's had it for pretty much the whole series. But we never really got an indication that Allura was receptive to his advances until last season.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I don't know if that was enough time. Like,
it felt rushed.
Yeah, it did feel a little rushed.
If honestly, I'd buy another relationship Allura has if it was with Keith a lot more than if it was with Lance.
Yeah, I feel the same way because Lance and Keith and Allura at least have a very amicable relationship, at least towards the beginning.
Yeah. And there have been moments where there has been
some tension. Yeah. But the only problem is that Lance and Keith Allura and Keith hadn't really had that kind of relationship since the beginning of the series. So I don't know if I'd like it if they had paired them up either. I'm just honestly after the problem is that they had that whole series when Lotor was still on their side, Lotor and Allura were in a budding relationship, and it's kind of
Lance was super jealous.
Yeah, and then in the next season she's I guess I'm just gonna rebound now. Yeah. And people get into relationships kind of quick, and I get it. But still, that's an awfully quick rebound. And I know Lotor was a jerk, but at the same time, there's a reason why Allura fell for him, and I can't imagine getting over someone that quickly, even if they were a jerk and they were awful, you know? Like,
yeah, well, like, in the show itself, a few months passed between the end of season 7 and the start of season 8.
Yeah.
So maybe something happened off screen, but that's really not good for the audience. If stuff happens off screen to develop a relationship like that much.
Yeah. Like I guess it's not awkward for them to have started a relationship at this point, theoretically, and I meant more screen time.
No, yeah, absolutely.
Like, it's screen time wise, we don't really see.
I'm just saying. I just thought of that because technically, there was a fair few months gap, but still.
Yeah. So there's that aspect of it. Also, like, yeah, I don't know. The relationship was kind of wonky and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, quick mention. This isn't a complaint really, but Hunk and the Balmarin chick never really get back together.
Yeah.
Like he had a crush on her, and like there seemed to be a romantic thing, but then like nope.
No, nothing.
Nah.
No further continuation of that.
Like, you know, I mean, like, people get in and out of relationships all the time. I'm not saying that every single romantic relationship that's built up in a show needs to exist to the end or necessarily have a moment. But, like, I think it would have been nice.
But, like, with how much they were bringing back.
Yeah, like, I feel like in the first season, first couple seasons,
we saw the Balmera chick go into Hunk's room at the end of season 7 when they were all in the hospital, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But, like, we don't really see them together.
Which is unfortunate. Like Lance and Allure is allowed to happen, but, like, Hunk and Shay, who actually had some romantic hot and cold, don't get that attention.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I'm really glad. By the way, also, one thing I'm happy about, Keith and Aksha didn't happen. Thank God.
Yes.
That would have been so rushed. Like, if Lance and Allura would have looked like the perfect amount of time in comparison if that happened. So, really happy that didn't happen. You know, honestly, Keith, as he's written right now, not having him paired off is, fine.
Yeah.
He don't need no man or woman.
Yeah.
So... yeah, there's that.
The next thing, if you don't mind me,
go ahead.
The Knights of Light 2-parter.
Yep.
Yes, it was a high concept episode.
Yes.
The big issue is it only just appeared and was only really used for that episode. It did not factor into the finale at all.
Well, except for
doing the thing of finding out about what Minerva's plan was.
And yes.
And we get a chance to reunite with the original Paladins, and then being able to be like, yeah, you were worthy successors, but I'm like, we're going to other people's minds. Why did she trap you in her mind?
How is that even possible? like
what purpose would that serve other than this?
Yeah, that's a good point. Like from a storytelling perspective, like even just ignoring we never knew she was that powerful. Like, she could be that powerful, whatever. Yeah. Like, yeah, it really doesn't. There really is no reason. It does kind of. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. Why don't you continue your thought and then I'll add on.
It makes sense if they did it wow, I can't.
I believe in you.
Who was the leader of the Galra before he died?
Zarkon?
I couldn't remember Zarkon. God damn.
I'm proud of you.
Zarkon, like how he was a figment of her imagination, like her mindscape.
Yeah.
That just due to the nature of everything was able to freely interact with them, but it was specifically called out that they were specifically talking to the remnants of the minds of the other 4 paladins. Which
is weird. Like, I understand Zarkon maybe being trapped by Hagar, right? Like, she's kind of obsessed with her family, so, that I can buy. But, the other paladins, like, why?
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't... I mean, yeah, I guess through Zarkon she's related to and or has an important relationship with the paladins, but, like, aside from just her being crazy, there's really no ulterior motive for her to be trapped, for them to be trapped there.
Yeah.
Like, they don't necessarily they didn't necessarily have to have gone into a Nerva's mind in order to do that. If they wanted to have a seance with the old paladins of Voltron, like, why not have a scenario with, like, some weird alien creature that can somehow reach into the, like, ether or something and pull out their spirits, but they're contaminated with, like, quintessence bullcrap.
Yeah.
Like, there are a million different ways you could go about that kind of thing and a kind of way for them to be reunited.
Yeah.
So...
And even, yeah, it's just...
It didn't necessarily need to be Onerva who did it.
No.
And
also, I'm mad about, like, the whole thing about, like, with the entity that...
Oh, yeah! What was that? Okay.
What was that bull crap?
Okay, because, like, okay, so entity was the thing that was in the... So the entity, as they call it, was basically... It was, like, kind of like a... I likened it to, like, a virus. Yeah. It's like a virus that Nerva planted into all the Alteans that she uses to control them remotely.
Yeah, but it infected her originally when she went into the quintessence field.
Yes. And it's sort of implied that, like, that's what was, like... Making her crazy. Like, it was, like, some sort of, like... It's like cordyceps, kind of, in the sense that they take over their host and sort of urge them to mine more quintessence for their own self-interest, even at the cost of their host. Which is a fine concept, but I feel like you kind of have to read into it a little bit to get there. Yeah. Kind of.
And also, like, that was such a huge risk, and, like, there were no major consequences.
No! Like, it was weird because, like, the entity was clearly a bad thing, right? So, all the things the entity has done, it has... infected Onerva, drove her mad, and then Zarkon too, drove them so mad that they neglected their son and became shells of their former self and literally only existed to, like, further the quintessence search.
And then was also used to nearly kill the Alteans. Killed one of the Alteans and nearly killed another Altean.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to talk to them about the Onerva's plans.
And the entity killed them, or was presumably what killed them.
Yeah, but...
So... Right?
Yeah. Nerva, like, activated them or something. Whatever. I don't actually understand, but, like, yeah, regardless.
Whatever it is, bad mojo from this thing. It's very dangerous. And Laura decides to take it upon herself to get the... And the weird thing is that, like, you can clearly tell that the entity is like, messing with her mind. Yeah. Like it's trying to convince her to take it in. Yeah. And it uses, like, people who she's close to, or like Lotor and Lance, who are two people who she's close to do that. So immediately you're like, this is not going to go well. Like, this is not going to end well for Allura. She should not do this. Like, you're getting these bad vibes. It's kind of like those bad vibes. Yeah, it's just like bad vibes. And then she takes it in, which, I mean, like, fair. You're not going to set up this weird entity thing that's attracting her and not have her, take it in. Yeah. But there's no consequences for her having taken it in. In fact, having the entity is what helps her come to realizing what Onerva's plan is. Yeah. Which,
like, yeah, that's why she did it. But, like...
but the problem is that
there was absolutely nothing
that happened to her negatively as a result, really, except for her just being in pain sometimes. Yeah. Which, like, is it just because we want to see Allura in pain? Like, I don't get that. And honestly, like, the entity being defeated in the end, or, like, her being able to overpower it wouldn't have been a bad idea. Like, she didn't have to succumb to the entity and, like, like, or anything like that, but, like, there was no consequence for her taking that risk. She basically banked on it being, like, a risk that pays off. And it's like, I don't know, the way they set up the fact that it was such bad mojo is just like, the mood was really weird. So
yeah, Allura was comatose after they got out of there, but, like,
yeah, she was comatose. She was in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
But at the same time, but like the thing is that it would have been made more sense. It would have been more satisfying to the audience if Allura had overpowered it.
Yeah.
Like if she had confronted the entity did some things to her, and it was the consequence. But she was willing to take this risk, and then she overpowers it, and then can use it to her advantage.
Yeah.
Like I think that would have been a little bit better.
Yeah.
Like you were imagining, like considering like how bad the entity seemed to be and how manipulative it is. It's like how is it not like affecting her immensely, or how is there not there was a setup and no payoff.
Yeah. No, yeah. But
let's move on from that.
And I think at this point we basically just get to the finale.
Which, oh my god. Talk about landing flat on your face.
Yeah, like let's talk about this a little bit.
Also talk about, this wasn't just a jumping the shark. This was like pole vaulting over the shark and doing like 5 million flips.
Yeah.
And then just splooshing into the ground like a bloody, like a what was it called? Belly flop. You just belly flop into the pool.
Yeah.
It's just like.
Yeah.
Is that fair? Is that a fair analogy?
Yeah. So first things first, like the whole thing is like Minerva is trying to find a universe out there that where she can live at peace with Zarkon and her son.
Yes.
But every universe she rips open to get to another universe will die because of it.
Yes.
And I understand we established in like the end of season 6 that like the madness of like the jumping between universes Lotor was doing was warping the stability of the universe.
Yes.
And we have traveled between universes before without such universal destructive consequences.
Yeah. Yes.
But like she just goes in one side of the universe, goes out the other side, and that universe just entirely disintegrates in its entirety. And it's such a substantial loss of life that goes by.
Yeah.
The weight is hard to feel. Like, is not particularly felt too much. Like, yeah, it's felt, but like it's hard to portray the exact weight of like losing an entire universe.
Yeah.
Or then losing 5. Like, I understand because like it's an entire universe. How can you portray all of that life?
Yeah.
That is being lost, but still. And then.
And like the weird thing too is that if I'm just going to hijack a little bit, I have seen media that has done similar things in that a universe is destroyed and that's played as like a really sad thing. But the thing is that every time that's happened, or when I've seen it done well, it's that it's the universe that the characters are from and connected with. So the loss is felt strongly because you've spent time in it. So you're like, wow, this place is gone. And now everything, and like it clearly affects the characters in a really big way. Yeah. And like the universe destruction doesn't just happen just like woohoo blowing up. It's like something like it's, and in some ways it's like it's hard to explain, but like my point is that I've like destroying universes or having really large existential consequences can be easier to do and impact the audience better if you bring it personal.
Yeah. If
you make it personal. Like that's how you do it.
You know
like,
what would have helped?
What?
If they passed through Sven's universe.
Yes.
Because that's a universe we actually spent time in that we have connection to.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't have to be the first universe we went through, but we go through his universe, and then we could be really like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
This is nuts.
Right, because there's a universe we spend time in. Exactly.
And you know what?
What?
Let's go crazy. Let's, like, have a cameo from one of the previous Voltron series.
Oh, yeah, why not?
Yeah. And then that would, because like what they're saying is literally every single universe would die.
Right.
And I guess unless they're say this is just super fictional,
right?
That, like that last universe would be our universe,
right?
That didn't die. Because after Lotor rejects Unnerva, she then vows to destroy all of the multiverse.
Which, yeah, even in, like, destroying reality, like, again, the only way to really make it work is to make it personal. And, like, yeah, the lives of our characters are at stake, too.
No, wait, the last universe was their universe.
Yes.
So it wasn't our universe, so we were dead, according to them.
Yeah, so, okay, because, like, the problem with multiversal destruction is, like I said, I have seen it done well in the past, right? It's hard to do it well, though.
Yeah.
You know, it's really hard because the human mind is not capable of, like, really wrapping itself around that kind of destruction because it's just so much. Like, all of reality, like, it's hard enough for someone to comprehend what a billion of anything is, much less the thing. The other thing, too, is that, like, the problem with the multiverse is that it implies that if you can destroy all of reality, that there's a finite amount of realities that exist.
That is true.
If there is a multiverse, then there have to be a finite amount. But that doesn't make sense in a multiverse construction because the idea of the multiverse is that there are
there's a universe for
every choice. So every time you encounter a choice in your life or an event happens, the opposite or other decisions you make or other events that happen create alternate universes.
But then that gets crazy when it's like, oh, there has to be a universe then where Unnerva did destroy the multiverse.
Right. But that can't be possible because like what?
Or would it be possible for, like, if those options were to happen, that it also creates an infinite amount of universes that are destroyed by that action, while the infinite amount of universes that aren't.
So no matter how it works, if we do agree that there's a finite amount of universes, does that mean that just Unnerva was never going to win to begin with? But if so, then how was she able to, like... But then that sort of destroys the concept, right? Why are some choices capable of like, making the multiverse happen and others aren't?
Yeah.
And, like I said, I have seen multiverse weird things like this work. It takes a little bit of explaining and, like, a little bit of groundwork, but you can do it. But this show just doesn't do it.
Like,
or also, if we do establish, if it is an infinite universe, then that means that, like, an infinite, that, like, again,
that she managed to destroy an infinite -1 universe.
Which, that's not possible, theoretically.
Yeah.
Right? And, like, okay. So, and the other thing, I mean, like, obviously, theoretical physics doesn't necessarily need to be accurate. Like, I do not care if, like, this show does not apply the principles of string theory or whatever. Like, if this is, like, regardless of whether or not the multiverse could theoretically happen in actual science, if you're going to create this idea in your fictional alien, in your fictional space opera, you have to follow through with your own logic, at least to some endpoint.
Yes.
And, like, it wouldn't be so bad. We wouldn't be asking ourselves these questions if the show, A, had better stakes, or B, like, I could ignore it. You know what I mean?
Let me bring up two alternate topics with regards to multiverse stuff.
Sure, yeah.
Transformers.
Yeah.
Transformers famously is, well, not necessarily famously, but if you know your lore, you know that every single story is contained with its own multiverse.
Yeah.
It's in its own universe. That, like, there are, like, groupings of universes that share more similarities than others, which is how that all works. And there's even a universe where the Transformers never went to war and they just study the multiverse for all time. And like they talk about the concept of like rather than universes, it's more like universal streams where things change and move. They split off if things don't make too much of a difference. They pull back together, and then the changes are overridden.
Right.
So that like explains why like they can count how many universes there are. There's still a significant number of universes.
So yeah, but and like there's never and Transformers also doesn't even like come to this idea of destroying the multiverse.
Yeah. Like there have been universes that have been destroyed.
Right.
But it's a singular universe.
Right.
Or well, granted, it's stated Unicron has destroyed several universes. But regardless, and then the other example, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Right.
I don't think it's necessarily brought up in the movie itself, but in the post-credits scene with Spider-Man 2099.
Okay.
It is implied that if that collider did things wrong, it could have taken out the multiverse.
Okay.
It could have.
But it doesn't, nor does it ever threaten to.
Yeah, substantially.
Yeah.
Like she says, it was touch and go, but like it's also established like how there is a consequence because like the other spider people being in the wrong universe. Yeah. The atoms don't like that.
Right.
And there are issues, and with too much interference could have feedback. Yeah. And cause greater problems for the multiverse as a whole. But again, in that specific case, we have a connection to characters from different universes. Yep. So if those universes were to go, we would care about them.
Yeah, like the problem is that Voltron. The stupid thing about this whole mess is that like Voltron doesn't even take advantage of the fact that we've already seen these other universes and doesn't show us them. Like they showed us everything else. Why not show us the universe where Sven was from? And be like, oh no, Sven's universe is gone. Like, that's, so, and like the problem, I guess the other thing too is also with this whole thing about like the puncturing through the universes creates this, like, destruction. But like, when we first saw the fact that alternate universes exist, there wasn't any big destruction that happened. Yeah. It was just a weird anomaly. Let's go explore it. Yeah. Like, it's like, I don't know. It's hard when you're having like such like when you're going so high concept. It can get real rough.
And then to fix the multiverse. Yep. Both Allura and Onerva sacrificed themselves to just give the whole universe a reboot.
Which...
Yeah.
So, like...
Which that causes one big heckin' issue. Yes. So, apparently, the events in their universe still happen. Okay. You know what? I'm not sure. People are still aware in their universe are still aware of what happened, but things change to at least enough of a degree where Shiro's boyfriend is alive again, that had died in the invasion of Earth, lives. So as those two can share a passionate gay end-credit kiss.
Which we will get to. I will get to that.
Then my questions are... What happened?
Like, how did they...
What happened that caused that? And if that were to happen, why couldn't Allura...
have survived?
Or have been reincarnated, saying without her memories...
Yeah,
of the experiences, but still be there. Like, I know you haven't seen the end of Teen Titans. No. But I'll do it as little spoilery as possible. If you know what it is, you already probably know what I'm talking about. There's a character that is like back and forth and like being good guy, bad guy, and then something happens and they die, and then at the end of the series, one of the characters I was close to the character that dies, happens to see her at like a school, and her body is no longer where it was.
Yeah.
So he thinks that the person that was dead somehow came back, but has no memories. Mm-hmm. So something like that could have happened with Laura.
Yeah, like she could have been rewarded for her selflessness.
And the reason we're complaining is that we do not understand the rules of the universe reboot.
No!
That's honestly the problem.
Like, obviously, I understand why they felt like they had to kill off a character. Because when you have such utter destruction, the only way it's going to get fixed is by an equal amount of destruction or energy, I guess. And, like, having one of your main characters do a noble sacrifice...
Yeah.
Like, that can be a way to do it. The other problem, though, is I don't know if we needed to go to all these lengths in order to do it.
Yeah.
What if the only reason why they did this whole universe destructo thing to then reboot it was just so that they could say they could bring Adam back?
I bet.
What if that was just the whole reason? They saw the bad press they got from season 7. They were like, oh no, we gotta fix this, guys.
Well, I doubt they could have rewritten that much that fast. So
That's fair.
I feel like they did that, but then saw an opportunity with the universe reboot.
Oh, to like stealth do it.
But then again, it doesn't make sense because it questions the rules of the reboot, because we assumed that without that, the assumption would be, oh, their universe was the last one to survive. Restarting the universe has fixed the hole, so they don't have to worry about the destruction spreading, because they were doing their best to keep it trapped. Mm-hmm. And everything is the same. It's just now everything has happened previously. It's just now they're back. Allura and Enerva are gone. Because they sacrificed themselves. And, like, that would have been reasonable and sensible and make sense until the whole Adam thing. Because, like, wait, we were able to restart... Oh, wait, and then also... Wait, never mind.
What?
It would have been questioned anyway, because the homeworlds of the Alteans and the Galra...
Oh, yeah, they're just back now!
Yeah.
Okay!
Like,
there are no...
I could understand that if... I could understand that if, like, they were like, okay, this is our legacy, is to bring them back.
Right.
Because I think other people were like, wait, they're back?
Right.
Not just them. So they're at least aware, but then that doesn't make sense with Adam, because Adam should still be dead.
Yeah, theoretically.
And it's not like... And I doubt Allura would have had enough forethought to be like, yeah, let's give Shiro a kindness. And
let's just, like, give him back his boyfriend. Like, he's done enough.
Yeah, not like, his arm or his original body without all the horrible diseases.
No, just his boyfriend. I mean, like, it's nice to give him back his boyfriend, but, like, why not give him some other things, Shiro has had a rough lot in life.
Yeah.
Like, other thing, too, is I kind of don't like this from a narrative perspective, too, because, like, I guess it, like you got, like, a huge sacrifice, and then you have, like, bittersweet ending where it's like, here's this wonderful world, but then Allura can't enjoy it with them, which is, like, also, like, real crappy for Allura. Like, man. But I also feel like you could have done, like, this sort of bittersweet ending thing without that. Like, you could have done a thing where they were able to, like, maybe instead they sacrificed Voltron.
Yeah. Like,
they were just like, Voltron... Like,
because Voltron still runs off at the end of the series.
Yeah, so like, oh no, we don't know how to survive the universe. They're like, oh wait, let's maybe Voltron disassembles, and then the Lions are like, we have enough energy to restart the universe. Yeah. With our comet or whatever, and then they go in
with their power. They become the defenders of the universes because they recreate the universe.
Right? Yeah, that would have
been great.
That would have been cool. You sacrifice Voltron. Voltron dies, and then maybe if you want to have your bittersweet ending on top of that, maybe make it so that, like, they return to their universe, but it's way more changed.
Yeah.
Like, maybe, like, some people remember things, some people don't.
Yeah.
Or, like, no one remembers, like, it's a happy universe, but no one remembers what they went through.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like, it feels like you're in an alien world, almost.
Yeah.
I mean, that would have maybe been too bittersweet, but that's another way to do it. If you're gonna if you're gonna make changes, like, make it so that everything's the same, but, like, just not quite the same, and it's weird and it's not good.
You know what?
What?
We could go back to the Knights of Light with this if they were coming back from beyond the greater ether, but then they got stuck in the lions and were assistants to them during this whole fight against Minerva, and then that's who controlled the lion. And because, like, all the paladins were like, we can Pidge is like, oh yeah, we can do it. We'd have to sacrifice ourselves entirely.
Right.
And then the spirits take over, pilot the lions, let them live.
Yeah.
But have that bittersweet ending.
Yeah, you could do that.
Because even then, because Allura would lose her father again.
Which, like, also not great, but, like, I mean, sacrifice had to have been made at this in this kind of writing anyway.
Yeah.
So, like, that's also true too.
Yeah.
Right? So, yeah. Because the problem, I don't like the fact that Allura had to die.
Yeah.
I don't like it. Like, I'm not against the idea of a character death happening in any story. There are many times where I've seen characters die in stories, and it's, you know, it totally makes sense, and it's fine.
Yeah.
There are lots of good examples out there. Like, I don't know, Pyrrha's death in Ruby was good. I mean, it was sad, but, like...
Dinobot's death.
Dinobot! Freaking Dinobot has a better death scene than this show. Yeah. How is that possible? Like, Dinobot from Beast Wars, because this is a Transformers thing. Yeah. You all should know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He dies.
Spoilers for Beast Wars.
Yeah, spoilers for Beast Wars. Dinobot dies. He dies twice, actually.
Technically
twice. But, like, his original first death... Like, because the problem I have with Allura's death is that...
Oh, and that's another good example of, like, screwing with the universe. And because, like, there's the time storm that's threatening to rip the fabric of reality apart.
Yeah, but it's, like, only one. But, like, it's also, like, the stakes are high because, like, it's the universe that they all live in. And it's not... it's also, like...
It's literally the future from that point in time, but also their actual past.
Exactly. Like... All the other bots from the other cartoon, if you saw that, are at risk too. Yeah, so it's like, oh my god.
And even then, like, Megatron is insane, but, like, he knows it's a risk. This was his original mission to Earth, and he waited so long because he literally has no other option of victory. He knows that screwing with time could cause him to suffer more.
Right.
But he takes the gamble, and it would have turned out in his favor.
Right, and it, like, so, like, it would have worked. It's not like with Minerva where, like, I don't know if it would have worked even if she tried. Like,
yeah,
because multiverse crap.
And it's more like that he had to put thought into it, and she's just like,
let's just do it.
Screw it. My plan didn't work. I don't care. I can't be happy. No one can. And
like, that wouldn't have been such a bad idea. Like, from, like, as an emotional idea.
Or even if we brought the thing of the entity back up.
Right.
That, like... It was affecting her mind. It made her suffer. That, like, I feel like, wait, weren't you talking about something like that could have been like the quintessence was like, could have been a good drug allegory?
Yeah, okay, so let me get back. Lothar didn't get redeemed and I'm so upset. Oh my god. They redeemed Zarkon. They even redeemed Minerva. But my boy Lothar, nothing.
No.
Nothing. The only thing we get is just him in the happy ether sitting there looking like the sassy boy he is, and that's it. I hate it because, like I said, the entity thing worked as a wonderful addiction analogy or analog or stand-in for any kind of neglectful, abusive relationship. Because, like I said, in the last episode, his parents were absolute trash to him. He was like...
Well, he never knew his mother. His father never wanted to talk about his mother.
Right.
And his mother was still rude to him.
Yeah, like his mother, it was just...
That when he learned that Minerva was her mother, his mother, he still rejected her.
Exactly. And like, it would have been so cool and like so great for him to have, like, finally, like, come to terms with his abusive past and learn to go to like, ascend beyond that. Like, if the show was able to recognize that Zarkon and Enerva weren't bad people, like, as, like, to their core, but were bad because of the bad choices they made, then why couldn't we done the same thing for Lotor? Like, why does he get the shaft?
Yeah.
He totally deserves to be redeemed, because, like I said, and, like, look, you don't necessarily have to have redeemed Lotor. You didn't even necessarily have to have redeemed Zarkon or Nerva. You could have sort of framed it as a tragedy, right?
Yeah.
Like, these people could have been great people
but they were,
had they made better choices in their life.
Yeah, they could have. But they were redeemed.
But they were.
They
so
were.
It's like, what is wrong? I don't get it. Okay. And, like, the problem is that Lotor's death isn't ever really framed as a tragedy. Yeah. In some ways. I mean, like, yeah, like Allura feels sorry for him and tries to rescue her, but it's such a flip. Yeah. She was so angry with him, and then all of a sudden she's like, oh, maybe I should have, like, saved him. Yeah. And it's like, I don't know. Yeah. I just think that considering the and it feels like that was kind of the angle they were going for, that, like, the whole quintessence thing and the entity was kind of like a metaphor for, like, addiction, and how it affects people and how it, like, completely destroys lives, but they don't really follow through with it in any good way, and it's like, yeah. My point, though, originally when I was bringing up Dinobot's death, though, in relation to Allura's death, was that Dinobot's death relates to his character. It's in. Because the problem with a character death is that it's an endpoint for your character. Yes. Your character will not grow beyond that. So either you have to, in their death, create a satisfying end to their character arc, or they're like, the fact that they died is a tragedy because they were never able to grow. And so, like I said, there's two examples that I like to use. So Pyrrha from Ruby is a good example of a sacrificial death that is tragic, because she was fighting against a scenario that she wouldn't win, and she never got to become a huntsman or huntress, I guess. Yeah. But her death also matters. Like, it's the turning point of the whole series. Yeah. Like, we go from existential, oh my god, the entire Beacon Academy's under onslaught, to, oh my god, a major character just died. Like, it immediately brings the conflict to a more personal space, and now our characters have personal baggage and personal connection to the enemy in a way they probably wouldn't have had previously. So Pyrrha's death makes sense. You know, it wasn't just kind of a thing that happened. It mattered. Yeah.
It still mattered in this past season. We got to her hometown. We saw the statue. We had a moment with her mother, maybe.
Whoever that was. We don't know. Yeah. I know if you don't know where Ruby is, you're probably really confused. But, like, basically, take it for our word. One of the main characters dies, but, like, it makes sense. It's not, like, a useless thing. It's not done just for the drama. Dinobot's a good example of a character who dies, but the death becomes a good endpoint. Dinobot's entire character was this whole flip-flopping of, like, you know, what side do I belong on? Like, who am I? And then he decides to take a stand against Megatron when he tries to destroy humanity. He not only does he save humanity, but he destroys the one thing that he was protective of. Yeah. And in some ways, that's more of a sacrifice than even his death. Yeah. Like, he redeems himself for his past mistakes by... Because the way redemption works, typically, is when the character gives up the thing that they, in the past, were so fixated on. Yeah. Dinobot is redeemed because he was fixated on the discs, and that was his weakness. Because
of future and fate. He was questioning if he was the master of his fate. The answer, in that episode, Megatron answered that question for him. Right. And then destroying it was...
Sort of a way of him, like, sort of becoming opposite to Megatron. Yeah. And in that way redeeming him. And then he dies as a warrior, which is what he would have wanted. And it's like, it works. It makes sense. It's sad, but, like, you don't feel like you were cheated or that Dinobot, like, was cheated out of a good, satisfying character arc. I feel like Allura was cheated out of a good, satisfying character arc. Like, Like
Like,
where?
like,
What's her what does her death do to her character that makes it good? Like
yes.
how does that play into her character? I don't know if it does.
I don't know either. And you know what? Also, Allura and Lance, was that whole relationship just so the death could have a stronger impact in that emotional regard?
I hope not. But part of me thinks it was, because they were like, yeah, we want to, because like, we can have like a nice kiss, and then Lance can be part Alluran for whatever.
Yeah.
Valtean for
reasons.
I mean, why not? We already have one half alien on the cruise, so we might as well have another.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's that too. And it's just like, okay. Also, speaking of characters, and then the last thing, I think we can move on from Allura's character death.
Yeah.
We don't like it, it sucks. But the last thing is that epilogue. Oh my god. I hate it. Okay, so like not only does it have to be like a super like does that like where are they now kind of thing set up where they're like this character did this or this character did that, and I just don't like those. Like for me personally, like okay, so documentaries do this a lot, right? If you've ever watched a documentary, there's a lot of times we'll do a where are they now. The reason why documentaries do it is because when you film a documentary, you film it, and then when you're editing, things can happen after you're done filming.
Yeah.
So typically, if an event happens or something happens right before the movie's about to be released, you put a little post thing being like, by the way, this happened after we, like, these are some things that have happened. Yeah. You know, just to sort of fill in the gaps so that you cover everything before the movie gets put out.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously something can happen between the movie being finished editing and then it going to theaters, but that's why Where Are They Now things happen. Or like it's that's typically why it happens in a non-fiction. Or like if it's a movie based on a true story, they'll do that to like kind of talk about the people after the story has finished because they're real people whose stories have gone on past that point.
Yeah.
This is a fictional story. So there's absolutely no reason for you to have this kind of epilogue when you can just show us these things.
Yes. And we, like, do see them a little bit, and then they just reiterate it later. Like, Hunk being
a chef. Yeah, we didn't...
A chef ambassador.
Or Pidge working in the garrison.
Yeah.
That we saw that. Like, we don't need that information.
Yeah. Lance basically retired from being a space cowboy and kind of, like, is just chill and settle down.
Which we would have expected him to do. So it's like, you can just show us that stuff. You don't need to tell us it. And then there's the piece de resistance, the kiss at the end. Okay, so on paper, I'm fine with this, but in practice, I'm not fine with this because it's so tacked on. So tacked on.
Yep.
Oh my god, like
they put Adam on ice, effectively.
Yeah, basically. And it's like, you think a kiss is going to make up for the sins of the past, Voltron? No, it doesn't. It does not make up for the sins of the past.
Yeah.
You killed this guy, and you played into those awful bury your gay stereotypes, and then you're like, oh no, whoopsie daisy, let's bring him back and kiss him. See, you guys, we're totally woke, and we totally are in the representation. I'm like, no. Yeah. If you were like that, you would have gone and actually like to play the groundwork for this thing. Yeah. But you didn't, and now I have to deal with this limp ass apology, and I'm like, no, apology not accepted.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think
it was so good. It was so good up to a point.
So okay, I think now we should probably talk about the series as a whole. I know we've been probably going on for a long time. Yeah. I apologize, but we just have so many things to say.
Yeah. But like, yeah.
So
like I just said, this series had so much potential.
Yeah, like I feel like there were definitely good things in it that I still like even now. Like I think I still will stand by my original statement back in the first podcast we ever did about Voltron. Not the first podcast ever, but like you know, it was really early on. It was one of the first podcasts, actually. It was so early on that we actually talked about how we were going to do the podcasts. Fun fact.
Fun.
Anyway. The thing like, I still stand by the fact that I think that Keith's heritage, the way that was handled, was really well done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was set up, it was, they laid those hints, and then they slowly brought it in until the reveal. And it was really well done, really well paced.
Like,
and, like, honestly, if there was any character who should have died but didn't, it was Shiro. Why didn't he die?
well, he did. He just never stayed dead.
He should have stayed dead. Like, okay, I like Shiro as a character. Like, he's fine. But the problem, now at the end of the series, he has no character arc.
Yeah.
He literally, I feel like he's seriously, like, it feels like he's at the same point that he was by the end of the series it was when he began it. Mm-hmm. Only just more traumatized now.
Yeah.
Now with more trauma.
Yeah.
Coming to theaters near you.
Shiro 2, Electric Boogaloo, now with more trauma.
Exactly. So it's like, I feel like it was obvious to me. It's obvious to me that Shiro was meant to die and stay dead.
Yeah.
Like, they would have baked a character arc for him if they had intended for him to live through the whole series, in my opinion. But they didn't. Yeah. And they just let him live for, like, no reason. Yeah. And then it just became a bad gay representation. It's like, okay.
So, how I want to talk about this is comparison to another thing that we're not keen on. Sure. The Transformers movies.
Yep.
I bring this comparison up because we're like really crapping on the series right now.
Voltron?
Yeah.
Yes, we
Voltron.
are. We are.
And there's a lot to crap on about the movies.
Oh, there's everything. Not everything, but like most things.
Yeah.
Most things.
But this is, and while we do really hate this ending,
yes,
this is a much different level of bad. It's a better.
So like
form.
yeah,
you get what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I think so quick. So the thing to say is that Transformers, like, it's like, so the thing about the Transformers movies is that they're bad, but they're bad to the core. Like, there's basically nothing about those movies. Like, I know there are people who are watching this who are probably big fan of the movies, and like, I'm not here to shame you. I'm just saying
you can still enjoy it.
It's just
acknowledge
the movies. The movies are just really they're just the whole thing, like, just from top to bottom is just so, there's barely no story. The cinematography's off. There's like everything.
Like, yeah, you can acknowledge there are things that are good. There's nuggets of potential that are just unused, but like, in the grand scheme of
like,
things,
as a whole, no.
Yeah. And again, you're saying you can't enjoy it. It's just.
But I mean, I would say that Voltron definitely is a better whole.
Yeah.
Than probably, like, most things, like.
Yeah. Like,
as a show, as far as, like, TV shows I've seen or cartoons I've seen, I mean, there's obviously better ones that I've seen than Voltron, but I'd say it's, like, in the middle somewhere. Like, it's not horrible.
Like, again, on the whole, because,
it's not like Prime Wars, where I was like, this is just nonsense.
Yeah.
But, like, okay, I'll be honest, like, but, like, in some ways, Voltron, it's almost worse for the show to have ended the way it did. Because, like, I invested in it. I put time and effort. We talked about this like 5 times.
This is the most podcasted series we've done.
So it's so crappy that we've had to come down on it so hard. Like, it would have been. I almost wish in some ways that it was as bad as the Transformers movies, because I was never invested in those movies from the beginning. So it's not like I'm sitting here like, oh no, they suddenly got bad. It's like, no, they've been bad the whole time.
Yeah.
Voltron,
I mean, they've managed to somehow get worse over time.
Yeah, well,
but...
yes, but like, no one came into the well, maybe the first one, but like, no one came into the third Transformers movie going, oh, now they suck. Like,
yeah, they were able to go back and be like,
They'd be like, I mean, so okay. Anyway, my point is that on one level, I'm really happy that Voltron still at least gave me some good things.
Yeah.
And like, it's hard to recommend the whole series. Like, I guess.
Like, I still, like, no matter what, I'm still going to love Pitch. I'm still going to love Hunk. I'm still going to love this crazy team of people and the giant combining lions.
Yeah, the characters are nice. And I think those first 2 series are still really good. And you could probably watch them on their own and, like, enjoy them.
As we classified the first 2 seasons, the first 2 groupings of 26 episodes.
Yes.
I mean, maybe a little meh with the LOTOR stuff, but...
Yeah, I would actually say... I meant first 2 seasons as in, like, the first 2 seasons on Netflix.
Oh, you meant... Oh, okay, you actually meant the little 2 seasons.
Yeah,
where
the literal 2 seasons.
Up to the point of Zarkon dying.
Yes. No,
wait.
Shiro dying.
Shiro disappearing and Zarkon...
Getting ganked and getting out of commission. Out of commission. Yeah. Those 2 first seasons, the Netflix first 2 seasons, those are fine and they're really good. And I still feel like they're good on their own. It's just it's hard for me to say if this is worth watching to someone because it's like, well, if you don't mind Destination being bad, I guess not. And if you're curious, like, you know, it's not harmful.
Yeah, I mean, like,
And, you know,
like,
your mind...
It's not necessarily... like, we do have major complaints with how this ending was.
Yeah,
It's
And
not... like, I see where they were going because there was an evolution. Because in how I'm calling the 3 seasons 1 and 2, then season 3 to 6, and then season 7 to 8, dividing up into 26 episodes. Yeah. Which seems to be closer to what they were hewing towards. Because they admitted... with season 3 and 4, they didn't want to split the seasons up like that, but that was mandate. So things probably changed because of it, but regardless. End of the first part, they saved the universe from the Galra. Yeah. Mostly. Like, they're still there, but, like, doing what they did was, like, a big step in, like, saving the universe. That universe. And then LOTOR was like, oh no, we're going to rip the universe apart. Yes. And from there, might destroy the rest of the multiverse. And then the end was... this one, they were also... Pidge was saying, like, this could spill out and destroy the whole multiverse. Yeah. The multiverse threat was already there. Yeah. At the end of season 6. And they wanted to progress higher than that. How do you get higher than already destroying the multiverse? Than destroying the multiverse from its core, I guess. Right. So it's like... Yeah, so that's I say what? Because, like, I should have been crazy about, like, Voltron combining with the Atlas into a bigger Voltron.
Oh yeah, that was just kind of funny. I was like, really? Yeah. That was like corny and funny in the anime way, you know? Like, I don't mind that.
Yeah, but, like, overall, I'm like,
Yeah, I guess it's. So I guess. All right. So before, I know this is probably going on for like forever. Yeah. And it was probably really like discombobulated, but like, it's serious. I guess final wrap up. Favorite part, least favorite part of the whole series. Can you do it?
Oh no. Okay, you asked me. You might have a better idea.
Me?
Yes.
Okay, so my favorite part, as I've said before, Keith's reveal of his ancestry. Yes. Still thought it was good. Still really good. Well done from a storytelling perspective. I really enjoyed that. Whereas least favorite, the whole Adam thing. Just Adam as an entity. Yeah. Yeah. He needs to go away. Yeah. Look, and I don't want it to seem like I don't like gay relationships or No. Let me rephrase that. That I hate, like, that I'm, like, angry about it because it's same sex. That's not it. No, not at all.
It's angry about how it was handled.
I'm angry about how it was handled.
I think I said something in the seasons. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Should I go or should you go?
You go.
Because I think I said this at the season 7 one. But, like, there's no reason for Adam to have died. We could have, because... There was supposed to be, like, a symbolism thing because, like, Adam designed Shiro's new arm. Yeah. But Adam could have still been there. They could have had a moment. They could have had tensions because of all that happened. Yeah. But in the end, come back together. Adam gives Shiro the new arm and be a strong supporting character. Yeah. Like, it could have been done well.
And the other thing, too, is that the worst part about it also is that it was clearly something that wasn't initially planned from the start.
And guess what? That could have been Shiro's character development.
Yes! Oh my god! Yes! This makes it so worse. Makes it so much worse. Yeah, like, here's Shiro, this lonely guy who's really stoic and brooding, and then here comes this guy who, like, sees past all of that and, like, teaches him to, like, be more open and emotional about people.
Yeah.
Look at that! Here we go. Here we have a perfect, like, way to solve some problems, and, like, Voltron doesn't take it because they just want to be like, no homo, guys. Like, homo, but, like, no homo.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
Which just makes it so much worse. Like, like, again, imagine how good and awesome this would have been if they had just had Shiro been gay from the beginning.
Yes.
Like who? Like, I don't know the intentions of the authors. Maybe they did from when they created the series intend for Shiro to be gay.
But it doesn't. But at the very least, it wasn't like a plot beat. It was like a factoid. Like, his favorite television show was Space Invader 9 or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like one of those things that, like, is a trivia fact, or like the video games that, like, that Pidge plays and Lance plays. They're like factoids rather than story beats.
Right. And like even if the creators had originally intended for Shiro to be gay from the beginning, that wasn't communicated to the audience at all until Adam showed up. And even then it wasn't communicated. Like, there might have been people who didn't think he was gay until the very last moments of the movie. Or of the series.
Yeah.
Which is a really stupid thing if it's a major character relationship for one of your main characters.
Yeah.
Like that should be like I said, imagine how cool this would have been if Adam was a character from the beginning that we knew about and was a relationship that had been established and we got flashbacks and we, like, knew about him. Yeah. It would have been, like, a lot better.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no. So that's that was my least favorite part of Voltron. What about you?
I mean, definitely, yeah, the Adam thing was the worst.
Yeah.
The best. I mean, there was a lot of good stuff at the beginning.
Yeah.
I think I might have to go with Keith, too.
Yeah, it was such a good. Imagine if the rest of the series had been, like, plotted out with that kind of care.
I also just love... Yeah, sorry. I also just love Pidge and Hunk. I just love those characters.
They're
just
great.
love how they hang out. They're best friends. They can talk to each other. And guess what? No need for them to kiss.
Yeah. I would have flipped if they had dated. I would have been like, no.
They're just best buds.
They're just buds, okay?
Like, I know Pidge was pretending to be a boy, but, like, that she's still a she.
Yeah.
Regardless.
And it would have been so dumb if they had made them dating. Like, I'd be like, it's just because she's a girl, right? Like, if she was a guy, they wouldn't have done that. They wouldn't have done that at all. Yeah. They could have, but, like, they didn't.
And also Hunk, like, was aware.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Hunk was aware, and, like, that didn't affect him at all.
No, he was totally.
The only one that was like, wait, you were a girl this whole time was Lance.
Again, think of.
And everyone was like, yeah, and then just the garrison guard was also just dumb enough to fall for it.
Yeah, I mean, like, to be fair, Pidge sneaking around like that, she would have had to, like, really, like they gotta, like, take pee samples and stuff, like, or, like, do examinations. How do you get away with stuff like that?
She managed it. She probably hacked the system.
Probably. Right, hacked the system. Yeah, so, yeah.
Yeah.
In summation, good on paper, bad in execution, I think we can say, with Voltron. Lots of potential, lots of really good stuff to it, and I still think that I do have a soft spot for the characters, even though the story itself kind of going on a downward spiral. But would you recommend the series to someone? I
mean, I could if you're interested.
Yeah, if you're
also if you're into giant robot fights.
Yeah,
there's not as many as I would have expected, but they are there, and when they are there, they are pretty cool.
Yeah, so like if you can divorce yourself from like the plot,
and besides, from what I understand, most people that watch giant mecha anime don't often watch it for the plot.
Yeah, so
they watch it for the giant mecha.
If you are willing to like overlook the plot and you just want to, although I've honestly,
like,
if you really. there's not as many. There's not that many giant mecha fights, but like if you're willing to like fast forward through a bunch of stuff and just watch that,
yeah, that's fine.
There's something here for you.
Yeah. I mean, regardless, the again, like in the first season, the characters are still enjoyable. They're still relatable.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still relatable. It's just the arcs aren't strong.
No.
That's the thing. I mean,
Yeah.
if you get connected, like watch the first two. If you think you're willing to stomach the end, then go ahead and watch the rest. If you're fine with just watching the first two seasons, just get the taste and not have to deal with the rest, go ahead and do that too. It's up to you.
And if you're one of those people who like doesn't see it worth it to, if you don't think you'd get anything out of not seeing the whole thing, and or like if you feel like you're the kind of person who would really be turned off by this kind of ending, and you wouldn't want to, or like the beginning wouldn't have salvaged that for you,
yeah,
then like I'd say you should give the series a pass. Like if you're really the kind of person who's only really looking to watch like stuff that at least ends good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or in a like with animated Transformers animated, like that series kind of ended a little flat, but it wasn't like this.
Yeah.
Like I still enjoyed animated all the way to the end, even if the ending was kind of meh.
Yeah, animated ended on a porno because it was canceled.
Right,
it never got renewed. Cartoon Network shut down when there were still plans. This was a Netflix series, as far as I know. Netflix didn't say, okay, this is your last season, time to wrap it all up.
No.
As far as I'm aware. It could have happened, and I don't have that knowledge. But nothing, as far as I know, that doesn't happen. So this is where they wanted to end it.
Right.
They had the time. They had the choice.
And also, like, even if they didn't, it at least ended in a place that I could see having been planned from the beginning.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Yeah.
It was a stupid end, but, like, you know, I could see it.
Yeah.
Whereas with animated, it was just kind of like, oh, here it is.
Like, that could have been, like, okay, this is where we want to end up. We still got to figure out how to get there.
Yeah. So, I would say that, if you like, yes. It's so weird to be done talking about the series.
It is.
I can't wait to see what our next series that we'll be talking all over about now.
Yeah.
Leave in the comments below if you have any suggestions.
Yeah.
But I think that's it for this podcast, unless you have anything else to add.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, please like and share this video and subscribe to the channel. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at SoundJack426. Alyssa, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at TheRationalDove.
And that's it from us. So thanks for tuning in. Bye.